Okay. We've gotten to the point now where, let's glue this down a little bit tighter. We're ready to start making the shelves, or not the shelves, the drawers that go in. And making them is not as nearly as hard as you think it is. My first attempts at drawers, I'm going to have to hold this and kind of, can you see how these kind of shift back and forth? Yeah, and then they start to do that. Didn't like that, and I had to stop and think about it a little bit. And if you look at the drawer opening here, and how the drawer goes in, you can see I made the drawer box about 2 to 3 millimeters too short on either side. And this is why they slip back and forth, and I don't like that. I could solve that by building something else inside of here, but I don't really feel like doing that. So, my answer, this is what I was working on last night, was to build a new drawer. And I needed to kind of mess around with the proportions a little bit because I can't just take this template, which is for the triangular inserts, and use it. You can see if I hold it behind, this drawer is a little small, and the points on the side exceed where the opening is. The opening is gonna, I mean, it hits right there. It exceeds even the length of the drawer front. So I had to stop and do some calculations. And when I say calculations, I mean Katie math. So what I ended up with is a drawer template in which this piece, this long side here, is 7.2 centimeters, and it fits just inside the box, just inside. And then I had to make sure that this was going to be long enough, I had to extend up to create the triangle. I couldn't just do a straight kind of tracing, I guess, of the, like a corner of the triangle, the triangle tool, and created sides that are 5.2 millimeters. So when this is slid in, it just fits and it doesn't move. And I'm very pleased with that. Now, you can see here it's starting, this little piece is beginning to warp a little bit and pull away. I need to glue that back down. But I wanted to show you how I came up with the drawer designed for the fold one. This is the first one that I made to see what was going on. And you can see from here, let me see, I don't think it fits in either one of these. The drawer front is too big. So that's why, as I just jammed this in here, it's not going to work. So that's why I needed to come up with this one. Now, the original drawer design isn't a bad one. It took me about 2 goes to figure it out. And you can see here, let's get down here a little tighter, that what I've done for this is I have just traced the template, and then I've added in the sides and the 3 corners. Now, you've seen how I design drawers for other pieces. These are not rectangular at all. It took me, like I said, a little bit to kind of figure it out, but it didn't take that long. This drawer right here is measured to fit this middle drawer in here. Now, there are things that I just do by eye, and it's hard to explain how I do them by eye because I just know to do them by eye. Right here, I'm measuring the box opening for the drawer opening, and this is a little over 1.2 millimeters, just a skosh. So that's what I measured this at, 1.2. Now, let me get a clean piece of paper so we have to look at that. when I am doing these, it does help if I lightly draw a straight line in here. When I say lightly, I mean lightly. Take this up just a bit. Just so I can place this on something that is straight. And then I'm going to come in here and lightly trace this again. So you can see I have it traced. Now what I need to do, I'm gonna try out the measurements for this one, because I want to say this one's going to be about 9-ish millimeters. So this is what I do. On one side, well actually on all three sides, I go through and get that on. Tick mark. I usually do one near the top, one near the bottom. So I made 2 little tick marks there. And that's going to be for drawing a straight line. Do the same thing here. On this side and on this side. And then again on this side. Now, one of the reasons why I draw lightly is because I'm going to need to kind of go over, I'm going to need to go over some of these lightly drawn lines. So let's first connect this one and this one. So we'll have, there's that darker line. And, okay, another darker line. Another darker line, and you can see how I've made sure they connect to create, like there's a small triangle inside a large triangle. Now what I'm going to do is lay my triangle down and put it right up next to that line that I drew lightly tracing around for the first triangle, and I'm going to do it again. So now I have triangle within triangle, and I can see all of the lines, because we're going to create a tab here, a tab here, and a tab here. The first one is the easiest one because it just meets. I need to flip this around. I'm using the wrong side. We come down, and then I start coming down this side. I need to create a square here. When I say a square, I simply mean from this point, I'm going to lay down my straight edge and draw a straight line. That's that one side. Now I flip it around, and what happens here is, okay, wait a minute, I need another one right here. And again, I kind of eyeball it. I'm going to come out a little further and eyeball it. This looks really super confusing. It's not. Once you start getting rid of the lines that you don't need, you can see here, I now have another tab. So I always draw the little tab lines in, so I won't do anything weird here. Now, I've got a tab for this side, tab for this side. I need to make the square here. Okay. I need one a square coming off this side. So I'm gonna flip this around, and I usually use this line right here where they connect. I'd like to use intersecting lines. It just makes it a little easier to find. And then I'm going to erase. And I'm sure there's a much easier way of, wait a minute, yeah, doing this. I forgot to put this line in. Oh, wait a minute, I drew it on the wrong side. Drew it on the wrong side. Yes, I do this. I drew it on the wrong side. So, again, this is just like full of like, here, don't do it the way that I do it because I'm kind of a dumbass. This isn't for children, so they won't mind. Okay. And believe me, I've made this mistake a lot. Okay. There we go. So you can see where I goofed up and then where I fixed it. So when I cut these out, let me grab a knife. I cut them out. The only thing that kind of, you know, makes me a little angry is that I can't, saving some of the paper scraps is nigh on impossible because we've got these big hunks cut out of them. So I go through and I cut all the straight lines, and I'm left with this. Now to get all of this other stuff out, these little teeny bits, I don't really worry about using a knife to do that, because the easiest way to do it is to use my tiny little scissors. And in fact, this saves a lot of time. Because some of the pieces are so small, it's hard to get in and get exactly where you want to go. Cut a little bit more off that one. Okay. So now I have the drawer. And what needs to be done now is I need to put some score lines in here. And I keep forgetting the word score. Because that's what I'm doing. I keep thinking of it as folding, like, because I'm using a bone folder. And all you do is every line that needs to fold, like these little tabs would have a dashed line to know. Same thing here. Anything that's got a dashed line in a folded piece needs to be scored. Okay. And here. Okay. So I can look on the back and I can see that I made those score lines. Fold down my tabs. Fold in my drawers, drawer sides, and you can now see how it all fits together. Now, gluing these together is not a big deal because it's basically the same way that you glue any of these together. And I'm kind of one of the things that prompted me to even attempt this was Pellerin Épinal de Imagine print of furniture from like the 1860s. So it's a French lithographic technique. And I've shown a few of those pieces that I really like, some of the vintage stuff. I've gotten laid hands on a couple of really decent copies in which some of the drawers are actual like functional drawers. And that's what got me thinking that I could actually do this. I'm like, if kids in the 1860s in France could do this, I think I can figure this out. So that's what kind of threw me down that rat hole of, I wonder if I can get that to work. Now, the one thing that always cheeses me a little bit about this with the triangles is to get them to hold the way that I want to. You got to kind of gently pinch the sides a little bit. Okay, there is the drawer box. It's not incredibly hard to do. And then you test to see if it's going to work. And you can see with this one, it's not popping through. It will just sit inside. So it's not that hard to do. In the next video, let me pop this out, I'm going to show you about adding on the front pieces and how that works, because it's not that hard, and a method that I use sometimes to line the insides of the boxes. So I will see you in a little bit for that video. Thanks, patrons.